Good day, golfers. Welcome to week 5 of our golf and fitness program. Marc-André Piette joining you from the Highlands Teaching and Fitting Center. A big week again this week. We're going to address alignment, which is another key component of the things that we're going to do before we swing. So we've talked so far about posture an awful lot, weight distribution, alignment, another big important thing that we must do properly every time before we swing. So first thing first, what is the most important thing that we need to line up? The answer is right here. So the club face. The club face is the number one thing that we must line up properly. This will dictate where the ball starts. So what we got to make sure we do is we have a clear understanding of what square looks like. So if I address this golf ball here, currently you can see that the grooves of my club face are parallel to this ball and parallel to those two alignment sticks, where this would be slightly open, this will be slightly closed, and this is perfectly square. So the very first thing we must do is understand what square looks like and then make sure that our club face is square to our target line. The second thing we're going to do is line up our body parallel to our target line. And when I talk about the target line, it's the line the imaginary line that will be from the golf ball to our target and back. So that's the number one thing, our target line. Once that's done, and once our club face is parallel to that target line, we got to make sure that our body is parallel also to that target line. And our body, the lines of our body that we want to make sure are parallel are our feet, our knees, our hips, and also our shoulders. So most people have the tendency to have their shoulders slightly open this way from the target line, and what's going to happen with an open shoulders, it's going to promote the club to present itself from the outside, and that's going to create a left to right shot pattern in the air, also known as a fade or a slice. So again, make sure that first off your club face is lined up to the target line. Second part, you got to make sure that your feet are parallel to that target line, and then that your shoulders are also parallel to that target line. And from here I have a good setup, I know I'm square, and then I can swing. So that's it for alignment, guys. Thank you. We'll see you next week, and Derek will follow up in the gym shortly with great exercises to help you be square.
Welcome back, CAF members, for week 5, part 2 of your golf fundamentals and fitness program. Today we're going over corrective exercises for that horizontal alignment. So as we talked about previously this week, what we're looking to do with the horizontal alignment fitness-wise is to be able to open up the shoulders, the chest, and the hips a little bit more, so that as you guys follow through in your swing, or as you set up, that you can actually make full turns without compensating by starting in a more open position. So I'm going to give you guys a few drills today here to work on thoracic strength, to work on shoulder strength, to work on hip strength as well. So we're going to put it all together. You'll see a couple of compound movements where we're moving through several different areas. Okay, so the first one we're going to do here is called a kneeling thoracic rotation with resistance. So you're going to grab a resistance band here. You're going to come to a kneeling position. From here, I'm doing the work with the right side of the body if my attachment is on my left. I'm going to bring one hand to the ground in almost a quadruped position. You can also go down to your elbow. And what we're going to do is start with a straight arm. We're going to row hand to the rib cage on that left side, and then we're going to think about turning our right shoulder towards the ceiling, and then back to square to the ground, and let the arm go. So it's going to be row first to the rib cage, rotate, release, and release the arm. If you're somebody who's tighter through the thoracic region, you might notice that the rotational component of this exercise, so that turn, might not be a lot to start with, and that's fine, okay, as long as you're feeling the resistance band in the rib cage and rotation happening at that thoracic region. From there, you can grab the same band, or if you have a therapy band that you you've gotten through physio before, something like that, you can use this. And exercise number 2 is going to be a golf stance banded W. So what I'm going to do here is I'm not going to grab too much tension on the band. What we're going to work on is strength through the back of the shoulders and a little bit of rotation through the shoulders as well. So I'm going to get into my setup position, so my address position like I would set up for say like a 7-iron or 5-iron. My band is going to be in front of me with slight tension on the band, and what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to pull the band to my chest, and as I do so, I'm going to bring my elbows into a W position and then back. As I rotate and squeeze my shoulder blades together, I should feel a little bit of tension through the back of the shoulders and the upper back. Okay, I'm trying to spread the band apart as I do this. So it's a pull in and a rotate out externally at the same time with the band. The tighter or the closer my hands are together, the harder it's going to be to split the band apart. The wider it is with less tension, the easier this movement is going to be for you. Number 3, you're going to need a broomstick or a golf club. And what we're going for here is rotation in the hips as well as rotation in the shoulders and the thoracic region. So we're hitting all 3 portions here. You're going to grab your stick, you're going to put it on your back. Your feet are going to start together. From here, we're going to do a lateral lunge. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to do a step out, send the hips back and down. So my one leg is straight, my other knee is bent. And then I'm going to rotate my chest towards the side of the leg that is bent. And then I bring my feet back together and I'm going to alternate sides. So hips go back in that lateral lunge position. I'm going to turn my shoulders, open my chest, come back to center, and then feet back to center. And I'm going to continue doing this for 10 to 12 reps each side. And I'm going to focus on my exhale as I rotate. And I'm going to try and get as much thoracic rotation as possible in that hinge position, in that lateral lunge position. I love this drill as well for a pre-warm-up or a dynamic warm-up, which we're going to get to in week 8. Number 4, now we're going to tackle the hips. We're just going to focus on the hips. These ones are called internal and external clamshells. Okay, so you're going to lie on your side. We're going to bend the knees at 90 degrees, and the hips might be close to 90 degrees as well. The external rotation for the clamshell is going to be feet staying together, and we're going to separate the knees as far as we can without rolling on the hips. So what I don't want to see is the shoulders and the hips open up. Think about keeping the top shoulder square to the ground, perpendicular to the ground, as you try and separate your knees as far as possible. Internal rotation is going to be the opposite. So the knees stay together, and now the feet separate. So you're going to feel them in different parts of the hips, okay? Internal rotation might be closer to glute and inside of the hip. External rotation will be closer to that glute medius, so the outside part, upper part of the glute. If you want to make this more challenging and you have a little hip circle or resistance band at home, you can always go ahead, put this around the knees if you're doing the external. So it'll go just above the knees. And we're going to work against some resistance as we push our knees apart. If you want to work on a little bit of resistance around the internal, just drop it down around the ankles, and then with the knees bent and you're separating the feet apart, you're going to notice that it increases in tension as the feet become more separated. Number 5, we have a step through with overhead rotation. So again, working on multiple parts of the body here, you're going to need your golf club or your dowel. You're going to start in a half kneeling position. with your stick overhead. So what we're going to do here is we're going to rotate first over top of the front knee, come back to center, step up and through, and then rotate over the balancing leg. Then come back down. We're going to rotate, back to center, stand, knee up, and rotate through. If you feel more comfortable with this exercise as you go, you can make it a little bit more flowy where you go rotate, step, right up, and through. And down, rotate, step, right up, and through. Okay, so that's another option for you right there, is to make it a little bit more about balance, a little bit more about coordination, but what we're trying to do is get some movement in the hips and also get some rotation in the thoracic and shoulder region. Your last one, you're going to have to go back to that resistance band. This time we're going to anchor it at about the chest height. And this is where we start going into power and strength exercises as well, which will be coming in the following weeks. So it's called row and rotate. So I'm going to take my right foot back if I'm rowing with my right arm. Left foot forward, I'm going to go into a quarter lunge position. The first movement is going to be row. So I'm going to pull my hand into my rib cage, and from there I'm going to turn my shoulders and my thoracic region, relax, and back. So it's 1, 2, rotate, 3, 4. Row, rotate, back, and back. As you guys get more comfortable with it, it might look something like this, where you're rowing and turning. This is more of a power drill, but it will definitely help in the rotational aspect of your swing. Any of the exercises that are demonstrated on one side only, remember that unilateral movements, even if you're a right-handed golfer, you should be doing on both sides. Those are your corrective exercises for week 5, which is the horizontal alignment. Hope you enjoy them. We'll see you next week when we talk about vertical alignment.